Good morning. The day has finally arrived. We have been waiting for this because we know that childcare is not a luxury. Childcare is a necessity. And that's for our families, our moms, our parents, our economy, and for the health of our state. So I feel we've come full circle. Bonnie said, you actually came when you stood here in October 2020 during the pandemic, and we all had masks on with your great Assembly Member Fred Thiel was here, and Bridget Fleming was here, and Jay, your supervisor, everybody was here. We all had masks. So I want to prove that really was us behind those masks. Okay, but that was us. And I said, I will come back for the ribbon cutting. And what you did to accomplish this beautiful building, open up to the children who live in beautiful East End, was nothing short of extraordinary in the throes of a pandemic, supply chain challenges, worker shortages, all the things you had to overcome, and yet you persevered. And this facility has been here for over 70 years, serving this community. And it's And as we know, the birth of this facility came out of tragedy. You know the story of two children left unattended while their parents were working out in the fields. And the community came together and says, these children should not be left alone. They need a place to support them and nurture them. And it has been that spirit of giving and that philosophy that has brought us all the way here today in 2022. We cut the ribbon on the Bridgehampton child care facility. And I'll tell you, this is important to me. Some have taken note. First woman governor in the United States. But I'm also the first mother governor. And as of 16 months ago, the first grandmother, but we'll just stop at mother because I know the stress is on our families. I had the same stress on me, young couple starting out. I'd worked for Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan, loved the job, good government salary, you know what I'm talking about? My husband, who's joined us today, and you have your first gentleman as well, I recognize Bill Hochul. He also found his calling working for the Department of Justice as a federal prosecutor working on homicides in our nation's capital. So 2 government salaries, which is fine, we did fine. But all of a sudden, we couldn't find childcare when our baby Billy came along. So all of a sudden, I'm now out of the workforce. And we went from modest down to 0. So it was tough. I remember praying for the day these kids, and I loved them when they were little, but someday when we don't have to spend most of our salary on diapers and formula, we're going to feel rich. And I didn't know that they would be growing those little sneakers every couple of months, and the clothes, and the backpacks, and all the other costs. I just needed to get out of diapers and formula. And I didn't have childcare. I would have loved to continue working with Senator Moynihan. In fact, when I told him I would not be able to come back after 4 months, after searching for childcare, he says, I understand. You need to do what you have to do, but you'll always be able to come back. And that meant a lot to me. But so many others don't even have those options. And I was blessed to have a husband. Many people are single moms. They don't have a spouse to help keep bringing income in. So what do? This is when it takes a village to take care of our kids. And you here are this village for a lot of parents, a lot of moms, single moms many times, as I mentioned, who are going through such struggles. Even more recently, the cost of everything went up, inflation and the scarcity of formula. How frightening was that just a year ago? And to wonder if you're going to be able to pay for even basic child care if it's available. And a lot of times it's not available. We have child care deserts all over the state of New York. And there's not healthy activities for kids after school. There's no one sitting there making sure that they become Scrabble champions and go into our nation's capital like the team from here did. Scrabble champions from here. Or teaching kids how to play chess like they're doing just upstairs, or teaching kids how to make things with their hands and creative. Everything is focused, as Bonnie told me, we're trying to get their minds so stimulated. A lot of kids don't have that. So this is personal to me. As a brand-new governor, my first budget demonstrated my priorities. We put $6 billion toward helping parents and providers give our kids what they deserve. We put that money on the table. It is there. We also made sure that our providers would have extra resources, that our families could get support subsidies, because I took office and I said, well, what does our subsidies go up to? I mean, how much can a family earn before the subsidies are cut off? It was $53,000. I said, we're leaving a lot of people behind. A lot of families are struggling when they're making $60,000 or $70,000. So starting in October, under my direction, that number will have gone from 53,000 up to 93,000. So we're going to capture 400,000 more children that'll be eligible for subsidized child care. So we're also focusing on our employers. We have a child care, what we call a child care pilot program for employers. We're helping subsidize employers. You know what I tell employers when they're putting up a new business? I said, did you make room in your building for child care? Why do I need child care? Do you want to have women in your workforce? And not just women. I mean, it's nothing like being able to provide this where a dad can go down and take care of the child, and maybe if the child's not feeling well, go check on him at lunchtime. Just part of the family. It's all about families staying together and being strong. So employers, I believe, have a responsibility. I remember going up to the North Country, and the leader of a huge tech company said, we're having trouble finding women to work for us. We want to have more women. It's like, well, where's your child care center? You're in the middle of nowhere. What are they supposed to do with their kids? They're working on it. And Micron is a company we lured. If you've heard the Micron story to upstate, and you'll feel the supply chain benefits all the way here. 50,000 jobs coming, $100 billion investment, the largest investment in our nation's history. And guess what I made them do to get help from the state? They are right now constructing an on-site, separate building child care facility for their workers. This is what we can do in government. We can change the dynamic around this. Also, one other thing we did, I'm noting that our child care tax credit is for 5-year-olds and up. Okay, so we'll help families when their kids are heading off to school. You know, they're not eating at home and they're not at diapers and formula. So I changed that as well. So infants through 4-year-olds on up will now be able to take advantage of a tax credit. So there are countless ways that I'm trying to find to lift our families up. But I can do that out of Albany. When I come here and see that there are people who care so deeply about our children, to give them that first start, and what a difference it's making. I'm telling you right now, every child who walks this door is going to have a better shot at succeeding in life than the kids who don't. But we need to make places like this more available everywhere. So I'm going to hold you up as the model. You are the model. So we supported this with $300,000 from the state. But of course, Bonnie, being Bonnie, says to me, that was really nice. Let me show you our expansion plans over here. Swimming pool, gymnasium. So your great champion, Fred Thiel from the 1st District, says he's going to bring the speaker down and let him see what you do here too, so you can convince the Assembly. We'll get the Senate on board, and we'll try to make some magic happen. No promises, though, okay? But you are very persuasive, and really to see firsthand, you all need to see what these kids are doing, and is giving them a chance to succeed. And that's our responsibility as not just parents, but also as leaders of the state, because we're doing this for them and for their families to continue generational growth and wealth, because too many communities and families have been left behind. So I'm proud to be here, proud to work with an incredible team that you have here on the ground. Bonnie, I just adore you. I love the passion behind what you're doing. You've been here many, many years. You have a supervisor who is a great champion for you. Jay has been at so many events with me, and he's just got that positive spirit, and can't believe life without Jay. But also Bridget. Bridget's been extraordinary. And Bridget, I feel like this is your last? Yes. Okay. Well, you are the reason I came out here in 2020. I saw Bridget, and she says, This is so important to the community. It means a lot. Would you please come out as Lieutenant Governor? And Bridget, you've been a dear friend and an outstanding public servant. So let's recognize the elected leaders we're blessed to have here. And Fred Thiel, he's a champion for the environment because the environment is everything here. Water quality, making sure that there's chaining for the jobs with offshore wind, making sure that we take care of the whole ecosystem because this is what defines this magnificent part of our state. But he's also been a great supporter of this project. And I want to thank him and congratulate him on getting this over the finish line and for all the great work he does. He's a great friend, a great partner. Ladies and gentlemen, your very own Assemblymember, Fred Thiel.
The dream is a reality. Nelson Mandela once said, they always say it's impossible until it's done. Well, it's done. Here we are. I want to thank Governor Hochul for being here today, and she's been all over Eastern Long Island the last couple of days. You know, I've been with the governor a lot of times, and I listen and I read her biography, and there's a lot of firsts, and you heard them today, including that first grandmother. But for me, more important than that is that this is my 15th term in the State Assembly. I've served with 5 governors. She's a lot of firsts, but for me, she's the best governor that I've served. She's a governor with a heart, and her support of this project is evidence of that today. And, James Brown, the hardest working man in rock and roll, hardest working governor ever right there. So, it is, I've seen a lot with regard to the center. I'm going to be 70 years old next week. So I'm only a little bit younger than the center is. I've been around almost as long as the center. We both go back to the early 50s. And so I grew up down the road in Sag Harbor. And, if you know Sag Harbor and you know Bridgehampton, you know that the greatest rivalries in basketball have always been Bridgehampton and Pearson. And I like to say it's a rivalry, but for it to be a rivalry, you actually have to win once in a while. And I know in the 4 years I played, 2 times 4, 8, 0 for 8. So I'm not sure how much of a rivalry, but but it was that rivalry that brought me down the turnpike. That's how I learned about the center. Because one of the guys I played basketball against was a guy by the name of Earl Hobson, the Reverend Earl Hobson. And we got to know each other. Those friends you make on the basketball court, for the rest of your life. And he worked here in the 1970s. It was before he became a pastor. He worked here. He was dedicated to this place. And he's the one who brought me here. We used to come here and play basketball. And Earl left us far, far too soon, at the age of 59. But I know he's looking down today, seeing that the work that he did back in the 1970s is paying off all these years later. And, the other thing I think of is, I grew up I had Jay's job for a while. I was the town supervisor. And when I became town supervisor, I got to meet Peter Jennings. And that was a period of time when this center was in some very difficult straits. And Peter and his wife Casey, who's here today, they were the biggest supporters of this center. And I think of him today and all the work and all the effort he put into the center and into this project. Everybody remembers that annual event, Jazz for Jennings. Raised so much money for this center, brought so much attention to this center. But what I remember more than Jazz for Jennings were those Christmas parties that were had. And when those Christmas parties at the Jennings house, those were Christmas parties, I will tell you right now, was a group of people that came together that were never in the same place at the same time any other time in the Hamptons. Peter and Casey, they brought the whole cross-section of the community to their house for Christmas. I remember singing those Christmas carols. And when I think of Peter, I think of that Rudyard Kipling quote about someone who can walk among kings but still retain the common touch, not lose the common touch. He'd be at these Christmas parties. He'd be washing the dishes at the end. He did so much for this center. And then the last thing I just want to mention is, yesterday I had the opportunity, I was over at the Southampton College campus. They have an agricultural program over there, part of the food lab, and students from the center are over there. And they're learning how to build things. They're learning how to plant and grow. And that's what this all made me think of is, growing up down the road, Earl Hobson, Peter Jennings, these kids whose lives are just beginning, and by the way, when I mentioned the center, and I mentioned the governor was coming, their eyes lit up. It was like, but all of this together, just reminds me of that quote of Martin Luther King, and that is, we all came here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. All of us, we are one community. And I think what Peter tried to do with those parties is to remind us that we are one community, bringing everybody together. That was one of his visions for the center, was to bring the community together. And so we're in the same boat. It's a little bigger boat now. It's a newer boat. It's a boat we can all enjoy together. But this building is bricks and mortar. We have the same role to play now in the future that those kids were doing yesterday over at the college. We need to plant some seeds. We need to grow things. And the flowers we are growing are the future of our children, the future of our community. And this is a turning point. This is a bellwether day for the Bridgehampton Child Care Center. My congratulations to the board, all the workers here, everybody who was a part of this project, but most importantly, the person that I have the honor of introducing next to finish our program today, and that's Bonnie Cannon. One thing I learned early in my tenure is there is no feasible possible way to ever say no to Bonnie Cannon. And I never did. So, she's been such a rock in this community. A lot of people had this dream, but her working with her board and with the community, they made it a reality. And there's a lot of vision out there, but it's a special talent to translate that vision into reality. And it's my pleasure to introduce the person who helped and was the driving force in making that dream come true. Most importantly, I'm pleased to be able to call her my friend, Bonnie Cannon.
Wow. Wow. First of all, I just wanted to briefly just thank you. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for taking the time out to come. I know that both of you have busy schedules, and for you to come here today, I'm humbled. So thank you so much for that. This is a wonderful day today, and it's a day that I'm so glad I was able to see as a reality. I don't know if you all realized it, but you really are standing on sacred ground here at the center. I tell anyone that comes on here, once you hit this land, you feel something different, and it's the sacredness of this place. It's the legacy, and Fred, you talked about community, because this place started from a community coming together at a travesty of time that happened. And it wasn't just black, but it was black, white, all nationalities that came together from a travesty that happened here. And that's where the center began. And from there, to come round circle, to have this vision come in reality, the community has come together again. And this is the only way that this has happened, from a community of people that have come together. And for that, I say to all of you, thank you. The center is so very needed, and it's a diamond in the rough. It's a gem. And it's something that's needed for our children and our families here on the east end of Long Island. For me to be successful with the children, I need to be successful throughout the community. We need to look at not only the children in their education, but their moms, their dads, their families, their well-beings at home, their health, their wealth equity. Those are all of the things that we do here at the center. Education, their creativeness with the arts. We look at a full service of programs that we offer. And now, because of the fact that we have this building, we're able to offer it and offer it adequately. We have programs for infants all the way up through seniors. Emergency assistance, food pantry. The number of things that we do here, you would be astounded, because there's always something that's going on here at the center. So if you're wondering if this edifice is for naught, it is not for naught. It is needed, and this is a new chapter that we are moving forward into. And a new chapter that I'm saying, as you have said, that has just started, and we're going to expand that chapter even more. There are many people that I can thank in that community, and I'm going to call names, some names that I have to call. I can't go without calling them. But to everyone here, from Casey, Peter, the late Peter Jennings, were here before I was here. Been here for about 16 or 17 years now. And without you and the late Peter Jennings, you brought the face to the other side of the community that knew nothing about the center, and brought them here so that they can see what's needed, and they can see and get behind the vision of this particular facility. And to that, I thank you. There are many names that you'll see on if you walk through the buildings that help to make this place happen. And to the Zuckers, Andy Sabin, Susan Cook, and Drew Fine, thank you so much for all that you have done. I have someone that's not here, and I call her my aunt, Linda Bird Frankie. If anybody knows Linda, if you talk about not being able to say no to anyone, that's my Aunt Linda. And Linda is not here, but to Linda. To our board chair, who is not here, Paul Jeffers Jr., who pretty much is the force behind the energy that kept the stamina of this building going. And you all keep him in your prayers, because he is under the weather. That's why he's not here. But to Paul Jeffers Jr. and our vice chair, Dan Rettina, I say thank you. To our entire board, our advisory board, thank you so much. There's someone else that I call my aunt as well. And she tells me just like it is, day or night. If I ask her, she'll tell me. And she'll call me and say, hey, Bonnie, we need to talk. Sylvia Loria. Sylvia. Thank you so much for everything you've done. We have Ken and Libis that are here. Ken Miller, Libis Sweezy, they were with us way before I was here as well. Thank you for everything that you have done. I'm going to leave someone for last, but when I talk about the community, I also have to mention all of the corporations that have come on to support us, AT&T, Dime, National Grid. Thank you. A lot of our programs would not have started. Our SAT prep program would not have started without people like Leo Rosner Foundation and AT&T. To our legislatures, Bridget and Jay, when we started this building, we were back in the trailer, but we needed to continue to have our programs. And I called Jay up and I said, Jay, we have no place to go. I said, can we use your place next door? And all throughout the construction time, our kids were able to be in the town building next door. And who does that? And yeah, who does that? You know, who does that? Right. And I think I told him that I was going to be there for about maybe about 6 months, and we were there for about maybe a year and a half. Yeah. And so, but just to the town board, to the village board, Fred, whenever I go in Fred's office, he's right. Whatever I ask of him, he always says, Bonnie, we'll find a way to do it. Bonnie, I'll find a way. And he does that. And I mean, those are the type of people that we have. Bridget Fleming is here. Bridget, you've been the best. Just thank you so much. I know you got to go on to your next step. I wish you wouldn't, but okay. I've accepted it. I've accepted it. Thank you so much. And to all of our, we have so many programs. Our Teach Me How to Fish program with our software engineering boot camp. We have Derek Peterson, who's here, who stepped up when nobody else would step up, and did a 3-month internship with our software engineering graduates who needed experience. And he threw in dollars as well. I mean, these are the types of people that we have that work with us from a day-to-day standpoint. I could go on and on and on, and I have to take acknowledgement for the folks that keep me going, and that's my staff. I have the best team in the world. I have been blessed with the best team in the world, from my assistant on down to our property manager, Mr. Harry, and to all the teachers, to Tamara, to everyone that's here, and to my right-hand assistant, Miss Jenna. And one of our other employees that also is my heart, and she's part of our staff as well, and she runs a fierce food pantry, and that is my mother, Miss Gloria. She is my best friend, and Mom, thank you so much. Love you. To all of the clergy, to all of the community, the Bridgehampton community that's here, to the Sands community that are. I mean, it's just so many people that when they come here, they see the importance as to why we have to have the center, and they come in and they say, what can we do? And I just thank you all. But one thing I do want to say, for those of you that don't know, I'm a very spiritual person. And they say that you always have angels watching over you, angels that are watching over you day in and day out. And one of my angels that, if not for this angel, we really would not be here today. And I have something for her, and I have to recognize her. And that is none other than Miss Barbara Slifka. And I want Barbara. Without Barbara, this place would not be here. Barbara is our angel. She doesn't like to be recognized, but Barbara came here one day when we had the old building, and she walked through and she saw the kids doing karate, and she saw the kids doing arts and crafts, and we were walking through, and at the end of that day, she said, and Linda Bird Frankie brought her here, of course, and at the end of that, she said, "You guys need an angel." And I said, "Yeah, we do." And she said, "Okay. Well, I'm going to be that angel for you." And she has been with us ever since, from every step she's been with us. And I could not go throughout without recognizing her, because what we have here would not have happened if not for Miss Barbara Slifka. And I just got to be honest with you, and all of our other benefactors and things that have given. But Barbara, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I love you for that. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to end here, because we would be here for another hour if I continued on. But this is the first chapter. We're going on now to the next chapter. On the horizon, on the horizon is the indoor basketball gym and pool. On the horizon is our Human Services building and our Career Tech Center. On our horizon are many other wonderful programs that we are going to have to offer to this community and then on. So thank you, Governor Hochul. Thank you, Fred Thiel. Thank you to the community and everyone that's here. If I missed anyone, if I didn't say your name, blame it to the head and not the heart. And most importantly, I leave for last. Thank you, God. Amen.